Good morning. This is a bit of a morning this morning. Welcome. My name is Shay McKay. I'm the sabbatical coverage minister here for the rest of August. And I use she, her pronouns. Welcome. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies held together by covenant, not creed. Together we share the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. May you know deep welcome and belonging in this place. Today is Question Box Sunday. At the end of each pew, you will find a little collection of index cards and pens. And you are invited to pass those down. If you have a question, please take one. If you don't, just keep passing them. It's okay if you don't, because we would be here for a week if everyone had a question. So we invite you to write down a question for Reverend Jessica to answer. And she will be doing that throughout the service. We'll be collecting them as we sing our first hymn. So, and if something else comes up to you, you can also put them in the offertory baskets at that time as well. Is that correct? No. I can. There are some index cards on the chair right there. We are very well organized this morning. If you have a request for us to share during today's meditation, please place it in the chat box on the Zoom screen before the opening hymn, or you can add it to our meditation bowl over in the Soulwork Center. There are also things to keep busy hands, busy bodies, busy minds busy for everybody over in our Soulwork Center. Welcome to any visitors who are here today. We are so glad you are here. And we are offering, Meredith will be offering a 12-minute intro and tour to the building. After the service, you can meet her over here by the fabric. Let's all give a wave to those on Zoom this morning. Hello, welcome. You are also welcome to put questions in the chat box for Reverend Jessica to answer. We ask that you do that before or by the first hymn, please. And for anyone here, please join us at our social hour after the service in the social hall. Welcome to our church. Together, we grow our souls and serve the world in love. come in. Come in into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, your fears and anxieties, your loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, and the compassionate is expected. My friends, come into this place, for together we make it a holy place.
I'm Reverend Jessica, the lead minister here. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm also the answerer of most of the questions today. Our faith says that we don't have all the answers. We figure it out together. We come with our truths and open ourselves to the transformation that is here. I light the chalice this morning for the questions that keep us up at night, and the spark of the divine within all of us that yearns for belonging. Please rise in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn in your gray hymnal, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Also, just a reminder to please pass your questions to the end of the pews, and the greeters are going to come down with baskets to collect them. So if you already have questions to pass along, just pass them to the end, and people at the end can hand them to the greeters. Thank you. So I invite anyone young or young at heart to come on down to the front. I'm going to answer some questions that the children and youth wrote for me last week. Give those to Shay. And Shay, greeters, Shay can collect the questions and will sort them for me. And if you have any additional, I can answer those now too. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Okay, so the first hard hitter from the children and youth is, what is your favorite season? What's your favorite season? I hear fall down in front. I heard some winter. summer, spring. Any spring out there? So my favorite season is all of them. I love seasons. I know, it's true. It's true. I love living somewhere where the seasons change. And when I lived in California, I longed for winter, that time to hibernate, put things in the crock pot. It was so nice outside every day. I felt like I had to be outside. Sometimes we just want to hibernate, right? And those of you in winter who are like, I still get outside, well, good for you. That's great. But I love a good hibernation season, and I love the promise of spring, and I'm a big fan of pumpkin spice, all things pumpkin spice. So fall is my favorite, and I love holiday decorations. So I have many boxes of holiday decorations. I do not need more. But I like to decorate my house for almost every holiday. You can guess what holiday I don't decorate for. Okay, why does this church have a really big name? Right? It does. It's a mouthful, right? We don't have like a short acronym. I was going to, because I got this question last week, I was going to look up, who remembers what the name of the church, where's my archive people? What was it first called? North Suburban Unitarian Church was what it was originally called. And then it changed to White Bear Unitarian Church, right? And then the merger, it went to White Bear Unitarian Universalists, or WBUUC, or WBUUC, but it doesn't just roll off the tongue. It makes you work for it, much like Unitarian Universalism. That came in there. Do you have any pets? I love pets. I had a dog named Rufus who died last fall, who was 17 years old. Rufus stayed with me through many iterations of me. Those of you who've had pets, Rufus was small, and I called him Rumpelstiltskin because he lived so long. And so I have a toddler, which is a lot. So not that she's a pet, but she's a lot. And so right now, it's not the time for me to adopt another dog. And I like to pet cats, but I don't like the way they tear up furniture. Not a fan. And I know people say, you can stop that. I question that, because cats have their own agenda. They tell you what they think. And so I love dogs, but I do foster dogs through Retrieve a Golden of the Midwest. So if anybody's looking for foster dogs, I was with a friend last week, and she adopted one of the dogs I fostered last year, which is so great. So I'm happy to have a temporary place for them to land and then send them on to their next home. But someday, in the next few years, I will have a golden retriever that will come with me to work, will be a chill dog. This is my hope. Do you have any, what? Why do cats scratch furniture? To mark their territory. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's the wild cat in them, right? Do you have any more questions before you? You have a question? Tell about one of my tattoos. Okay, well, this tattoo is an arrow and a shell. And I got that in Santiago, Spain, after I walked 500 miles on the Camino, which is a pilgrimage. And the signs of the Camino are arrows, that's how you know you're going the right way, and shells. And so that's what that signifies. And so, yeah, we're all on a pilgrimage of sorts. Some of us just choose to take a big walk, and other people choose to wake up and get dressed and face another day, right? Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our children and youth out to their religious education. Thank you for your questions. Good to see you.
Every Sunday when we come together, we make time to hold each other and our community in our hearts. We trust that the love we have here within this beloved community is big enough to hold all of our joys and all of our sorrows. So please open your hearts today to these prayers of our community. We ask for prayers for a friend that got a cancer diagnosis that is very complicated and inoperable. Other prayers for a friend who has suddenly been diagnosed with cancer. Sending love to my dearest friend Grace, who began radiation and chemotherapy for colon cancer this week. It's been a very tough week for her and her husband of 50 plus years, John. We are praying for all of those starving in Gaza due to this genocide facilitated by our government. And prayers for my friend who's moving to Europe today. We are sending her off with lots of love. Sometimes we don't quite have the words yet for what we are holding in our hearts. And so I ask you now, I invite you into the safety of this community to open yourselves, whisper, or speak aloud anything that you still want to share with this caring community. With love and care, we hold all of these things that we have been blessed with and honored with to hold today. For our prayer, I'm going to read Invocation by Jeannie Lohman, and then we'll have a moment of silence before we sing meditation on breathing today. Let us try what it is to be true to gravity, to grace, to the given, faithful to our own voices, to the lines making the map of our furrowed tongues. Let us turn toward the root of a single word, refusing solemnity and slogans. Let us honor what hides and does not come easy to speech. The pebbles we hold in our mouths help us to practice song, and we sing to the sea. May the things of this world be preserved to us, their beautiful secret vocabularies. We are dreaming them over and new. The language of our tribe, the music we hear that we can only acknowledge. May the naming powers of these be granted. May our words be feathers that fly on our breath, and may they go in holy directions.
In community news announcements, our church is participating again this year with over 25 faith communities in Interfaith Action School Tools Drive. School supplies like backpacks, notebooks, and pencils will be collected through August 24th and delivered to school children from low-income families being served through different programs, including Project Home and Department of Indian Work. There's a cart in the social hall where you can place your donations. Please watch the e-news for more information. Who knows what's happening next Sunday? You're like, what? It's not the birthday yet. It's our play service. So for those of you online, apologies, we will not have an online offering next week. It is only in person. You can come and connect with this community. You can come and meditate together, do Tai Chi, take a walk and learn about the trees on the grounds, sing together. We will have a lot of offerings, and it's held within a service. And if you're like, how does that happen? Come and find out next Sunday, but no online next Sunday. And then the Sunday after that is we could say that a little better, right? The Sunday after that is our birthday. Yes, and what do we need for that? Cakes. And so I've heard from 6 cake bakers. Thank you for your signing up, but we need more. In addition to people to sign up to bring a gluten-free cake, a vegan cake, things like that. So please do fill out the form in the e-news or email me. And any kind of cake is welcome, but needs to be enough to serve 8 to 10 people-ish. Today, after the service, there are 2 different offerings for you in addition to coffee hour in the social hall. The Earth Ministry team is doing a walk today to notice, cherish, and protect outside, notice our grounds. They will meet actually right outside these windows, outside in what's called the Spirit Prairie. And if you haven't heard about the Spirit Prairie, my guess is you're going to hear a little bit about it today. So that's after the service. And also after the service are music classes with our Director of Music Ministries, Rack. This is music theory for singers. This class is intended for choir members or for singers who know how to read music and are looking for a deeper dive. Rack is excited. That is at 11:30 in the sanctuary. So ends our announcements. Each week we collect for our offering plate. The money collected goes to support the work of this church in serving our mission. There are a couple of ways you can give today. You can use the text to give feature. The number will be on the screen momentarily. You can give on the website, or you can place cash or check in the offering basket. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. The offering and another round of your questions will be gratefully collected. Thank you, OK Factor. It's so nice to have you back. Yeah, we can clap. You are so beloved here, and it's always nice to have you. All right. Shay sorted these for me. Thank you, Reverend Shay. So I will start with personal question. And then we'll move on. Are you a vegetarian? Yes, I am. Which means Midwest potlucks are hard. I also am allergic to lactose, which means Midwest potlucks are hard. So if you're having me at a potluck, please have something I can eat there. That's my piece. I've been a vegetarian since I was 21. I do not eat fish, which is usually the next question. And I am raising Nori vegetarian until she goes to a friend's house and tries beef jerky. Where do I find joy? Oh, so many places. I find joy in having a 2.5-year-old who is intent on sharing her opinions, and her opinions change every 30 seconds. And there is so much joy there. And every morning I give her a hug first thing, and I say, "How are you?" And she whispers in my ear, "Good." And it's just the sweetest way to start a day. So I find joy with that. And I find joy with building a life here, having a garden, growing things, even though my tomatoes are in a very sad state this summer, and just building community. Lots of joy there. And I'll also tell you where I find joy. So yesterday I went to the Washington County Fair. This was a first for me. Nori loved all the animals, very exciting. And I found joy when I saw a member of this congregation volunteering in the DFL booth. That doesn't mean everybody's a Democrat here, but I found joy seeing one of our own representing us and representing our values. So that made me happy. Why is it so cold in here? Who's freezing right now? Oh, not a lot of people. Okay. Who's not freezing? Okay. Great. So you have 2 ministers right now who are in the middle of their lives. Which means we run warm all the time. It means we forget things. It means if you see me fanning myself, I may have a fan up there at some point. We run warm, so I apologize, and that is why. How have your experiences shaped your theology? I mean, I could write a book on that, really. This relates to another question I read further along. My theology is like core around everything happens, that everything doesn't happen for a reason. I really abhor that theology, but that everything happens, and our task in life is to find a way to carry it and to move forward. And so, and to bring love and beauty into the world, and that the world constantly will try to separate us, especially US culture of individualism and have us judge each other. And my theology says that to work directly against that. And that's what we do in community together. And my theology says that, like Question Box Sunday, I don't have all the answers, but together we figure them out. And like I talked about walking the Camino with the kids earlier, I walked the Camino after my daughter died because I had this chunk of time and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew that sitting in my apartment was not going to be good for my mental health. So I thought, I'm just going to take my grief on a walk. I never wanted to do the Camino. I thought it was great, but that wasn't my idea of a good vacation, walking 500 miles. And so I had this opportunity, and it felt like this is what I can do with it. So, and for me, I kept waiting for the voice of God. I've talked about this before. Throughout that, I would go into the Catholic churches and see all of this very Baroque altars and see a lot of patriarchy represented, but I was still like, where's the voice of God? And the voice of God showed up in the kindness of strangers and in the conversations I had with people about why they were on the Camino. And to me, that is like a reminder that God isn't something for me outside of myself, that it's in all of us, and it's our task every day to bring that into being in the world. Someone online wrote, what does getting sober mean to you? So I got sober 13 years ago, and getting sober to me means I had a problem with drugs and alcohol, and it wasn't serving me any longer, and it was directly connected to my call to ministry. I knew that if I was going to go to seminary and be a minister, to be the kind of minister that I would want to have, I knew that drinking and smoking pot wasn't going to serve me. And I have many flashes of times where I am aware, it's sort of like this hyper-awareness, maybe other people who are sober have this too, of being in a social situation. Like, social situations are naturally awkward, right? So what do? We have a drink to mellow out. But my filter goes out the window. Anybody else have that when they drink? And so I have situations, and I'm like so grateful for my sobriety that I stopped that pattern because it wasn't putting more love in the world, let's just say. If you could eat only one type of carb for a year, would it be rice, bread, or pasta? I'm going to say bread. I love bread. I got into the sourdough, craze in the pandemic. I love bread. But really, it would probably be pastries if we're going to add another one on that. I love a good pastry. Is there a book, poem, song, or other written words that serve as a touchstone to your life? Let me keep track of time here, too. Book, song, or other... Oh, wait, I'm mixing up my piles. Book, poem, song, or other written words. We had this question. We're doing check-in questions for the staff for our staff meetings weekly, too, and we had a similar question around a poem. So I'll say Emily Dickin's Hope is the Thing with Feathers poem. What is your greatest fear? I mean, it changes every day, but I would say our government right now is living that out. And I think that I feel like I was asked this last year, wasn't I? Yeah. Is this going to be an every year thing? I think that we have personal fears, and then we have societal fears, and our task is to not let them run our agenda and not move from a place of fear. I've had a child die, so that is many people's worst fear, right? But that doesn't mean, so I am constantly having to balance letting Nori live her life, because I can't wrap her in bubble wrap, and also saying, okay, you can't do that. And that will get harder as she becomes a teenager. So I would say, because we have greatest fears as parents, we have greatest fears as society members, we have greatest fears as ministers. I still have sermon anxiety dreams where I show up to preach and I have nothing written. Or it's like someone's funeral and it's like, okay, you're getting up to give the message. And I'm like, what? So I think there's a lot of fears, but meditation helps me to calm the monkey mind and not let it run the way I live my life. And also having people who hold me accountable to say, so that I can say, hey, this is my fear that I was, like I said to Shay just now, is it inappropriate to talk about perimenopause? And she said, no, it's not. We need to name this. So having people to help bounce things off of is very important. How's it going raising a toddler and being a full-time lead minister? It's hard, but I think I'm doing good enough at both. I can do better at both, but I'm doing good enough and trying not to be too hard on myself in the process, because it is hard. Thank you. But I won't lie that some things keep me up at night around because the next question, what's hardest? A, being a minister, B, being a mother, C, surviving Minnesota winters. Minnesota winters are not that bad. I said it. I wasn't here in the winter of 90 inches. It's true. So the last two haven't been that bad. I tell you what's hard is the smoke right now is so bad. It's just really, and trying to figure out, being a mother, do I let her go outside? We went camping last night. The whole time, my friend and I were like, are we doing long-term damage to our children's lungs by being outside? It's hard. But I'll say the hardest thing about being a minister is that there is always more work to be done. There's always more emails to reply to. This is why my email replies are often very short, because I get a lot of emails and I don't have the time to have a lengthy, and often I will say, if it merits a larger conversation, let's have a phone call, let's meet, because I just don't have the time to write long emails. If I try to reply to 99% of my emails, even if you get a reply 2 weeks later, which I know some of you did this morning. What is your greatest joy as a minister? Conversely, sorrow. My greatest joy as a minister is seeing people find belonging. Having people meet with me and say, my life has been changed by being a part of this community. And my greatest sorrow is having people say, I came for a year and I could not find community, which I had someone meet with me last week. And so I'm so glad they met with me before leaving the congregation. But they said, and I got their permission to share this, that they left on Sundays lonelier than when they came. Yeah. So I have carried that heartbreak. Sure, I know that many come for services, and this is where we sort of get our reset for the week, but the community is what holds people here, and to have someone who joined different things and just still felt like it was a combo of Minnesota culture and also just people knowing each other and gravitating towards people knowing each other. It's heartbreaking. And I know there are people who are here because they are a different person than they were before coming here. So, and my greatest joy is our youth, like the youth service, coming of age. It's so inspiring. I love UU youth and the ways that they come alive and are supported and loved into being as part of our congregations. What gives you deep hope about our country and planet? Pass. No, I'm just kidding. You know, this is the perennial question. I don't know. I don't have a lot of deep hope. And we still keep working, right? We keep working because hope is the thing with feathers. And so I often think about aliens. It's true. And about aliens on other planets who might be watching us and going, what are they doing? And sometimes I'm like, maybe other people have it figured out. Like Shay preached about science fiction, and like deep hope is reading about other people's creativity of imagining different ways to approach the earth and planet, and then seeing people here also bringing that into being, that are so committed in spite of a world that says it's never going to happen. That's hopeful. Okay, I know I'm going over on time. This always happens. Where's Rack? Can you come on down? I have a question for you. If you could go up to the pulpit and answer it, please. My life is a musical. I sing a lot. I don't have a handheld. Can you go up? Yes. So online can hear you, please?
What are choir risers, and when are they being installed? Two great questions. Choir risers are the fancy stairs on which a choir stands, and they're kind of a fussy thing to install, and they are being installed slowly but surely, hopefully by the beginning of the fall season.
But are choir risers for use in Sunday services? What are choir risers going to be used for?
Even better question. So not necessarily the choir risers are for like special choir events. When we have a special choir concert, they'll be set up so that the choir can be centered in the middle of the chancel here rather than off to the side. So for normal Sunday services, it'll be as it has been with the choir over here. And then for special events, when other choirs come to perform, when we do evening choir performances, which I hope to do more of in the future, there'll be an opportunity for the choir to be centered and featured rather than off to the side.
And to rent to choirs as well.
Exactly.
But the reason why we're not using them in Sunday services is because getting up and down multiple times during a service, that's going to take a lot of time and requires a certain level of able-bodiedness. Okay, I'm going to go quickly through these. How is WBUUC reaching out to community to use our space? AANA, Al-Anon support groups. Short answer is when people reach out to us, it's a yes, but we are not actively reaching out. And if you feel inspired to do this, let's have a conversation and we will support you, but we don't currently. We are operating at kind of max capacity staff-wise, and so we don't have an opportunity or the bandwidth to do active reaching out to community. But if this is something that you feel passionate about, we support you in that. And we always, we're a yes as long as it fits within our building use for community groups. Can we continue one service all year? I've gotten emails about this too. So it feels really good, doesn't it? Yeah. But we're in summer, right? A lot of people take the summer off. Research shows, I'm sure you've heard this statistics, that if we are more than 80% full, it is not welcoming to newcomers. If newcomers come in and they cannot find a seat, they will leave. And for those of you that are thinking, oh, frequently there's seats down in front. If you were a newcomer, would you want to come sit down in the front row? And there's the balcony, but that requires a certain level of able-bodiedness and also directions to even find our balconies. So this is a conversation that the staff is constantly having, and we're going to continue to look at numbers and see where numbers are come fall. We also need to get a really good count of how many people we can actually seat in the sanctuary, because we have fire code numbers, which are beyond what we have right now. And there's parking as well. So it's both, yeah. But we're constantly in conversation about that. And we want to be welcoming, and we don't want people to come in. Also, oftentimes, as someone who got here way later than I had planned this morning, who often arrives the latest? Families, right? It's hard to get out the door. It's hard to remember everything. I was filling up Nori's water bottle as she was climbing into her car seat. So we want to be especially welcoming to families and not have them have to work too hard to find seats, or they're not going to feel welcome. What volunteer opportunities does the church have after work hours? I don't know like evenings. Well, our choir meets on Wednesday nights. Shout out to the choir. And we have meals. Our meal team could always use support on Wednesday nights. And our greeters on Sunday mornings can always use support. Pastoral care can happen after work hours. Our website, as you saw in the last e-news, is getting updated. Hallelujah. And so it will be clearer on there. And we have a dedicated volunteer who is doing a lot of work to try to create systems whereby people can see on the new website where the volunteer opportunities are and how to engage with them. We do realize that has been a deficit. How is WBUUC different than Unity Unitarian in St. Paul in your experience and now? We're a little bit smaller, and I'm the lead minister here, and Reverend Oscar Sinclair is the lead minister there. But what is similar is Reverend Shay McKay is here now and is going to go there for a one-year interim after she leaves here. So there you go. Yes. And we both interned there, so tender memories. What are scripture-ish books you recommend? I can't think of any off the top of my head because we're on a time crunch, but if you email me, whoever wrote this question, let's have a conversation about that, and I can try to find some. The next one, what is the board's role in prioritizing and adjusting expenses in lean times, particularly after budget approval when the minister's staff is already authorized to spend it? Example, intern and choir stand balanced against staff increases. Yeah, it's a real question, right? So the board's role is continuing to have conversations with the leadership team, with the financial oversight committee about our finances, and bringing that to you all to share it with you all. Expenses don't look great. This is something that keeps me up at night, and that we are going to, I don't feel like I can share more without meeting with the Financial Oversight Committee and with the board. So we will be bringing more to you come fall, but we are, this next year is and year-end financials show that there is a lot of financial, how do I say this? Strain in the congregation. Thanks, Shay. So don't look forward, but look towards hearing more as we go into the church year. But this is the number one cause of my stress and my fears. And just to note, the intern was from a separate fund. We had an internship fund. It is now going to be depleted. So we will not be able to have an intern the following year unless we find a way to put more money into that fund. But we have all these reserve funds that are specially set aside. So we had one for the intern fund. The choir risers were the fund-a-need from last year's auction. And so also when we say we're fundraising for this thing, to then say we're not going to use it for that thing is not ethical to you all as well. Okay, I'm going to do two more. Whoa, are we okay to stay till the 15? Okay. How do I find out about all the social justice opportunities connected to the church? Please don't say website. Been there. Our website is coming. Where are my social action co-chairs? Are there? Al is in the back. Talk to Al. Right, Al? I'm sorry, I'm volunteering you. And Jane Bacon. And attend a social action committee meeting, or you can always contact me as well. What are 1 to 2? And look at the boards in the social hall as well. The committees have been really intentional about putting information on the boards. Committee fair on September 14th is happening. Thank you, Ilsa. Yes, new bulletin boards will be coming. What are 1 to 2 larger, more major actions we can harness in this community to take to fight autocracy? I've been working with Isaiah to figure out what organizing looks like. Isaiah is a local organizing organization that works with groups, that works with churches and organizations to organize at their level with local lawmakers. So look forward to hearing more about that. I actually have a meeting with the person from Isaiah next week. So that's part of our plan going into this next year. And the next one's really hard and takes a lot of time. How can WBUUC balance diversity focus with respect for white people who are not trans or gay, etc.? So our focus is on building the beloved community. And for a long time, white people have been at the center of all the things. And so our focus is not to balance it. Our focus is to move those with the most privilege out of the center of focus and to prioritize those whose lives are at risk, prioritize those whose health care is at risk, prioritize those who are on the margins for all of the reasons that all you have to do is look at the news now. Like, that is the task of our faith. And it requires giving up comfort. Because white people, and I'm speaking as one, we like to be comfortable, right? First time I came to a UU church, I didn't feel any discomfort. I felt like, you know what, I see symbols of the world religions, I see a pride flag, I'm at home. I also carry a lot of privilege. And so I didn't feel like, are they going to misgender me? Are they going to tokenize me? Am I going to get microaggressions? Other people who have more marginalized identities than I feel that every time they come into our spaces. And so those with the most privilege, our work is to seek to widen our circle of welcome and dismantle the ways that our white supremacy, heteronormative culture shows up in our words and our actions. Because it's all, for the most part, unintentional, but it has impact. And so our task is to listen to the cries of the world and to respond. And with that, we'll do one more passing of questions and listen to some music. And then we'll have a last question session. So greeters, if you could collect any last questions, please. Okay, last round. I missed one online for the last grouping. What opportunities are there for ninth graders at WBUUC? I encourage the person who wrote that question to reach out to Amy Peterson, our Director of Music Ministries, to find that out, because I do not have all of our RE offerings memorized. I know we do OWL, comprehensive sexual education, but I don't know if it's, do you know, are we doing a ninth grade OWL this next? 7-8 this year, thank you. So we have a youth group, but please reach out to Amy and have that conversation. Okay, if you could play/study an instrument, what would it be and why? Well, at 25, I picked up the cello, and I sold it before moving here. So that tells you how good I got. Because then at 27, I went to grad school to become an OT and put it in the corner, and then I picked it back up when I was an OT, and then it went in the corner when I was a seminarian. And at some point, I just had to accept that I was not going to be the cellist in my imagination, but I could do Twinkle Twinkle, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And so I love the cello. I also love an oboe. Love an oboe. I hear those are incredibly difficult. And I love the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. Going to those concerts are so wonderful. I have a question here about my hair products. It did say don't read out loud. Come and talk to me. I'll tell you about my hair products. It's It's the never-ending curly hair question. Now I'm going to pinch hit a question to Reverend Shea, because sometimes we don't have to have all the answers, right? We can phone a friend. Reverend Shea, what movie would you suggest that encapsulates our current moment in time?
Well, I'm going to answer this with the films that I go to for hope in this current moment in time. And the first one I recommend is the film Baraka, which was made in the early 90s. How many of you have seen Baraka or know what Baraka is? Oh my God! Go watch Baraka. I don't know where you can find it these days. Maybe Amazon Prime. Sorry, but I'm not sure where you can find it. But
The library.
The library, absolutely. Baraka is a real-life documentary film, no talking, only music, and it is beautiful cinematography of life on Earth, all the way from nature to spiritual traditions around the world to the technology that we're living with these days and how it's affecting us. It's just a really beautiful, comprehensive look at what we as humans have done and do and life on this world. The second one I would absolutely recommend is, and I can't remember the name, but it's the newest Richard Attenborough one on Netflix. It's in the family of the planet Earth and all of those, but it's a new one that really addresses the oceans and the pollution and the possibility within that part of our world. So, there we go.
Thank you. Okay, could we have a service outdoors? We've had them before. But its accessibility is really difficult for people outdoors, which is why it's, I know that you all got creative in the pandemic and with that first in-gathering. And also, if we have it outdoors, we don't have online. So, but that doesn't mean we couldn't do outdoor things together, that we couldn't have a picnic, a church picnic or something like that. I really want to do a church camp out next year. I heard you used to do them at William O'Brien, and then people could come down for the day who don't want to camp, but I'd really like to do that. Okay, can the overhead lights be turned down? So we are always trying to balance what is bright enough to keep people awake and what is too dark. And I hear that for one of you, it's too bright, and maybe even going up to the balcony, which there is an elevator, could help that. But we're trying to figure that out. Should you use be collectively be standing for nuclear weapons abolition or its opposite, nuclear war? That's a hard question. I think that our choice is always abolition and no nuclear war, and UUs are for a lot of things, and that we as a congregation need to determine where our collective energy is behind, because there are so many things to be for, but that doesn't mean that we are not for nuclear weapons abolition, and we are definitely against nuclear war, and we as a congregation determine what there is energy and passion behind, because we have a lot of passion for a lot of things, but the collective energy is what's key. Jessica, what do you think draws people to our church more, activities or inspiration? Both, I'm going to say. Some people just come for Sunday services, and that's fine. Especially people online who are online for any number of reasons. And other people come for those community activities. We have a core group who come on Wednesday night for the dinners, the choir, And the thing in a large church is that people need to find their small groups where they belong, be it the millennial-ish group or the parent group or the choir, that those are what hold people here, because you can come and sit in the back and then leave before one of us gets to the door to say goodbye to you, and nobody could talk to you the whole time. And so those small group ministries are what hold us in large churches especially, and are really important. So we continue to find ways to shape and nurture those and support you all with your ideas around them, because they can't all be staff-led, because staff only has so much bandwidth. How did Unitarians and Universalists find common ground to merge their theologies that were different in so many ways? They realized they were better together than apart. That's my short answer. Do I want to comment on the Unitarian view of life after death? Unitarians did not believe in hell, and also Universalists didn't either. And they believed that your life, Unitarians specifically believed that your life is transformed by good works, that your job here is to do good works in the world, not with the fear of hell. And what are your thoughts on the North American Unitarian Association? I think that means Unitarian Universalist Association. I think they're wonderful. I think they have a hard job to answer to 200,000 UUs who sometimes think alike, but most of the time don't, and all have their opinions, and a lot of people who don't want to give up their comfort. And so I think they have a hard time, but I think that they are doing good, important work, especially with supporting our rural congregations, with lawsuits against the current administration, with trying to protect trans kids and immigrants. They're doing really good, important work. What is the best word to replace church? When I tell others we started to go to church, their eyes go blank, and with no opportunities to explain, we are different, special, not like the church they're thinking, but what? I think it's telling people that we can reclaim church. We don't have to throw out the word, that we can reclaim it, because many of you here with wounds from from the churches of your childhood have had to reclaim it, right? And so wrestling with that and saying, okay, I'm going to wrestle with this, and what does this mean? This is what church means to me, and explaining that to them is an inroad. And saying, just come and try us out, or check out a service online, and then you'll see how we are different. Why do bad things like cancer happen to good people? Right? Because life happens. And because, as the Buddha said, life is suffering. I really struggle with the concept of karma. And every time I go on a meditation retreat, I sit down with one of the teachers and ask them about karma and what they think about it, and tell them that I struggle with it because I had a child die. And so I think the concept of karma is used to harm a lot. But I had a teacher once tell me that, like, karma is so complicated, and karma is putting more good into the pot. And so how do we put more good into the pot? Not with the feeling that it's going to come back to us, we're going to get the winning lotto numbers or something like that, but that we put it in because it matters. So, but bad things happen to good people because suffering happens. And our task is to learn to live and support the people that it happens to, and find ways to care and figure out how to carry the grief and the heartbreak of what it means to be alive. Because no one gets out of this life unscathed or without heartbreak. What advice do you have for how we can breathe when it's getting harder to breathe outdoors? Well, there's the simple advice of air filters. But I think finding places, I know this is a bigger question of not like the practical, but I think finding ways that nurture your soul, that your go-to may have been taking hikes and things like that. Like, what are the ways that you can nurture your soul in other ways? And what does that mean? And growing and stretching in that. And if you need suggestions, send me an email. How did human make words? This was a question from one of the kids. Magic. How to find common ground with MAGA. I actually don't think we have to. I don't think we have to find common ground, but we have to find ways. We don't have to. We all choose to find ways to be in relationship with people in our circles who support the current administration. And there is another layer of heartbreak in that and grief in that, and all of us are doing it. And that is, I think, our spiritual task is to find ways to be in relationship, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's just sending cards. It doesn't mean you have to have a phone conversation with that person every week, but it means, what does it mean to be in relationship and not cut off? And for some, the safest thing they can do, especially if they have a more marginalized identity, is to cut off. But for those with more privilege, how do we stay in relationship? Not with the goal of changing people's minds, but with staying in relationship because our faith says every person has inherent worth and dignity and matters, even if they have different values than ours, and to be grounded in our own values and grounded in what our work is. How do we start conversations about the difficulties caused by the current president? That kind of, I think, what's the intent of the conversations? Are the intent to change minds? Because I probably wouldn't start that conversation. But is the intent to name the grief that we're carrying and the fear? I think we do that already. But our work is at our local level, and that's what I'm working with Isaiah to develop a plan to do with you all in fall, is who's at our local level? Who are our school board people? Who are our city councilors or city council people? And how are we saying to them that these are my values? Because it's one thing to sit in here and say, these are our values, and to call, I've got Betty McCollum's office on speed dial, and she sends me a personalized reply, so I feel like she knows me, even though she doesn't. But our work is at the local level of how are we sort of ensuring that our values are represented and that people are hearing from us. And with family members, I think that this is a really hard task that everyone is figuring out, and there is no one right way to do it. Everyone has to figure out what this means to them and what the relationships mean. The last question, we need to teach AI. I think this is AI, not all. AI to value humanity to survive, but what is the intrinsic value of humanity? AI is complicated, right? It's so complicated. And it does amazing things. And so I think that this is something that we are continuing to look at and follow. I don't think it's our task to teach AI anything, but to find out what are the ways it can be useful to us if we want to use it, knowing the environmental cost of it is quite massive, or what are the ways that we can turn it off in our lives, like on your web browsers, to turn it off if that's important to you. So I think that this is sort of the task of everyone to figure out, and that we're all figuring it out as we go. I was having dinner this last month with a neuroscientist at MIT who does research in AI and AI with mental health, and talking about that is one of the biggest ways it is helping to support people. So I know that many congregations are having this conversation around AI use in congregations, and I think it's one that is continuing to evolve and that we're figuring out. And but I know that in personal lives, for some, especially those who are really lonely or in need of support, that it helps them. Like I talked about the Purposeful app that is AI in my sermon a few weeks ago about belonging, about how it helps people find purpose and check in with them, but it's not telling you to like go cause harm or something like that, which I know there are some stories of AI doing that. So I think it's complicated and we're figuring it out. And the intrinsic value of humanity is that we all matter, we all have inherent worth and dignity, and we all have a piece of the divine inside of us, but our job is to bring that into being every day. Amen? Okay. Thank you for staying. Thank you for trusting me with your questions. And please know that though my schedule is busy, I am open and willing to meet with you all to answer your questions or have a more one-on-one conversation. I know that I can't know each of you personally on a deep level, but I hopefully will be here for a very long time, and I would like to get to know you. So please feel free to reach out if you want to have a more in-depth conversation, and we can get something on the schedule. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, Wo Ya Ya, which is number 1020 in the Teal hymnal. Am I on? Sometimes we figure service out as it's going. We're adaptable, right? We are going, heaven knows where we're going, but you all help us to figure it out together. Thank you for bringing your holy and sacred questions. Thank you for bringing your holy and sacred yeses and your nos to this congregation. Please keep coming. Please bring your questions. Please bring yourselves, because we need you. Will you turn to your neighbor and say, "We need you"? And will you please be seated for our postlude?